I am going to share with you this discovery that I've made about technology. And you know, NASA is filled with so many great scientists, so it's very exciting as a filmmaker to kind of share something I've just recently learned about technology. So you heard that I've been working on this film about what does it mean to be connected. And actually, just thinking about this talk, there's a lot of parts in the movie that look at how science and technology have shaped the way that we view the world. And there's a lot of NASA references and images. So it's really wonderful to be here. Let me give you a little bit of background. I founded the Webby Awards, but before that, I was a big computer geek in high school. That was like my early Mac. And in high school, my family's from the Soviet Union, from Russia. I'm a Russian Jew, and I had this best friend whose family was from Iran, which was another enemy country at the time in the 80s. And we wrote this computer programs, we both had our Macs with modems, that was called Uniting Nations in Telecommunications and Software. And our big idea was, you know, maybe if students all over the world could communicate, the world would be a better place. So I went over to the Soviet Union, and they didn't really have personal computers back then. And, but it was that first you know, inspiration about how powerful it would be to have computers connect the world. So then after that, right after the web was invented, I founded the Webby Awards. And I spent a decade focused on honoring people that created the best websites and celebrated their work pushing the medium forward. So I've spent a lot of time thinking about technology. And now I've returned full-time to making films that really focus on technology. So I've spent the last 5 years working on this film called Connected, an autobiography about love, death, and technology. And I'm going to show you just a little minute-and-a-half clip from it, but I just want to set it up. Because really, this section in the film talks about what I think is the potential of technology and how, if we can just harness all these connection points, how we can make the world better. And the little clip I'm going to show you, my father was co-writing the film with myself and the writing team. And he, at the time, was working on a book on Leonardo da Vinci. And he really believed that da Vinci was offering us a glimpse on the future of this species because he was so able to use his, you know, master both art and science. So that sets up the clip, and I'm just going to show it to you now.
Still in its infancy, the internet is helping each of us to synthesize the two hemispheres of our mind. Clicking through the radical explosion of text information online is activating the left hemisphere. And linking from page to page, video to video, is stimulating the right hemisphere. The internet is literally changing the way we think, moving us through a constantly evolving landscape of words and images at the touch of a keystroke, synthesizing the two hemispheres of our brain. If this rewiring of the brain is happening on an individual level to each person who uses the web, imagine the cumulative effect of a Da Vinci-type brain synthesis on a global scale. Today, there are close to 2 billion people online. What would the world look like if everyone on the planet could be online? It's not that far away. There are already 5 billion cell phones on the planet. We're at the beginning of a participatory revolution. People's ideas are free to interact, reproduce, and cross-pollinate instantaneously, creating new hybrid ideas that combine perspectives from all over the world. Connecting ideas, data, and cultures from millions of brains into a global thinking structure with infinite possibilities.
So that's just a little clip, and it's going to be in theaters this fall. And of course, this is kind of the positive, optimistic part of technology. But the film, I also wrestle with it on a more personal level. Sophocles once said that nothing vast enters the life of mortals without a curse. So what's the curse part of all of this technology? I spent a lot of time thinking about that and wrestling with it. So on the one hand, it's speeding everything up. I mean, we're able to travel anywhere we want to go so quickly. Here we are at NASA. We can do it very quickly. Communication is so much quicker. And I don't know about you guys, but that's what I feel like in the morning when I check my inbox, because I can never seem to get to the first email. And I feel like I'm moving so quickly these days. And I think about in the 19th century, you know, all of these technologies were really to make us ultimately more efficient. And in the 19th century, they thought that in the 20th century, we'd be so efficient that we would only work 4 hours a day. And that's a really interesting thing to think about in the modern era where we are working 24/7 all the time. And I certainly think about it a lot because often I'm with my staff and we're emailing and editing and shooting all this stuff, and I look up, I'm like, how did it get to be 5 o'clock? I mean, how many of you feel that way, where things are moving so quickly that time is just going so fast? And especially, you raised your hand, yes. And I'm also a working mother, so I'm trying to also be there for my children and my husband, and you know, everyone's moving a million miles an hour right now. So in the middle of making this film, when I was working very hard and feeling kind of scattered, like I would go to bed at night and I would just like feel like my mind racing. I would even email in my sleep. Has anyone ever done that? Yeah. And my husband said I once like spoke in my sleep and said, "Shh, I'm in a meeting," which like really scares me kind of. Anyways, so during this period of intense work, my father, who was co-writing the film with us, was diagnosed with brain cancer, and he was given 9 months to live. And those moments really make you think about time. They really make you think about what are we all so busy doing, and how do you really want to spend your time? And around this time, I was asked to participate in this National Day of Unplugging. And my family and I, we had celebrated Shabbat, where we would light the candles and we'd make a beautiful meal. And that's kind of where it ended. But I was thinking about the National Day of Unplugging, and like, let's take this all to the 21st century. I want to be more present. I want to spend more time with my father and my family. I want to be more present. So I approached my husband, who's a professor of robotics. He's very technologically connected in every way. And I was like, honey, can we talk? And he was like, what? Oh, no. And I said, can we unplug for 24 hours? Will you do this with me? And can we commit as a family to do this? So we lit the candles, and we turned off the cell phones and all the computers and the television for 24 hours. And I started reading about Shabbat is a very old concept. And there was a Jewish philosopher named Heschel, and he would say for 1 day a week, you need to not work. And really, it's a palace in time. And I think a lot about that with how much we get interrupted in our space and time through all the technologies. And Einstein spent a lot of time thinking about space and time. And of course, we all love that thought experiment where he talked about how time slows down in relation to if you're in motion. So this amazing thing happened when we unplugged that I'm so excited to share with you all, is that time slowed down. And I would wake up in the morning with there's no Saturday morning cartoons and no cell phones, no GPS and no technology, and you actually go into the garden and you actually interact and you let your mind rest. And it's been 6 months of this kind of life-changing thing that I want to share with everybody I know. How many of you ever unplug 1 day a week? There's only 2 hands here, or 3 or 4. And you know, Saturday night, we can't wait to get back on. We're like junkies. We're like, oh, it's the sundown, and we're like online. And then you reappreciate technology in this whole beautiful way that you never appreciated before because we're so used to it. So I think that what's been really beautiful to me is what's the 1 day of the week that you want to be really long is Saturday. And so it feels like 4 days in one. And I really hope you'll all try it. So I think that the single most important thing about technology is that you can turn it off and remember what it's like to turn it off, and then you get to reappreciate it when you turn it on. And my husband and I rewrote Allen Ginsberg's Howl, hoping that you'll try it too. Here it is.
I saw the best minds of my generation distracted by texting, emailing, tweeting, dragging their cursors through Google links at dawn, looking for an info fix. Angel-headed hipsters burning for the ultra-fast heavenly connection to the starry dynamo and the machinery of night, who wired and networked and hollow-eyed and caffeinated, sat up searching in the imaginary comfort of Facebook friends, floating across the tops of cities, contemplating signals, who bared their brains to GPS under satellites and saw Wikipedian angels editing on collective knowledge illuminated, who passed through Wi-Fi hotspots with radiant Bluetooth earphones, hallucinating avatars in low-res Second Life islands among the gamers of Warcraft, who were expelled from chat rooms with dreams, with wireless nightmares, megapixels, alcohol, YouTube, and endless eyeballs, who connected via instant messaging in underwear, burning their money on eBay impulse purchases, tapping into the zeitgeist through the synapses of Twitter, who jacked in continuously 70 hours from Pandora to iPod to Amazon to Flickr to Boing Boing, yakety-yakking, primal screaming, unblinking, participating. Unplug! 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 I'm with you in the compulsion to check inboxes, news feeds, and Facebook. Unplug! I'm with you in the addiction and longing for focus. Unplug! I'm with you to cut the umbilical cord of data. Unplug! I'm with you to disconnect from the infosphere. Unplug! I'm with you to power down and revisit the present tense.
Thank you.